Pedro Pascal Situation is very odd and we need to talk about it. Hello you gorgeous donuts. Pedro Pascal is arguably the biggest actor in the world at the moment. He's been in huge movies and series such as Narcos, The Mandalorian, he was Joel in The Last of Us, he was Oberyn in Game of Thrones, who is arguably one of my favourite characters. Now obviously these are big roles and made him very famous, but I would say over the last 1 to 2, maybe 3 years is where he's really reached a new level of fame. Just in the last 12 months, he's appeared in The Last of Us Season 2, Materialist, Eddington, and very recently, he is Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, which is massive. Basically, everywhere you look at the moment, Pedro Pascal's there. If I go for a and I'm expecting him to be in the toilet. No matter where you go, he's just everywhere. He's like that bloody disease in 2019 that I can't say, otherwise this video will get demonetized. I need a quarantine away from Pedro Pascal. Now later in this video, we are going to talk about Pedro Pascal fatigue, which is gripping the internet right now, what the hell that is. But before we get onto that, there's an entire situation going on with Pedro Pascal right now, which he is receiving a load of hate for, possibly the most in his entire career. And a large majority of it comes from the press tour of the new Fantastic Four movie. But before we get onto those videos that is making the internet spiral out of control, I just kind of want to take us back to where all of this kind of started. So Pedro Pascal, throughout his entire career, has been very vocal about him dealing with anxiety, which is obviously a really, tough thing to go through. Now, as Pedro Pascal has rose through being famous, he himself has said that his anxiety has helped him reach new levels of stardom. I know that I have to put myself in high stress situations to be happy. I mean, within reason, but there's a certain level of anxiety that helps me do good work. It helps me be aware of the things I need to be aware of. Anxiety is something that I've lived with since I was a child, so it's part of my chemistry. I don't know what kind of person I'd be without it. It's something that I imagine, but it's also part of what makes me me. Now, obviously, that's a very specific way to describe the effect of anxiety on yourself. A lot of people would say it has negative effects rather than positive effects, but I guess he's just being honest and describing how it feels for him in certain scenarios. He has described the negative effects of his anxiety and the impact it's had on him since he's became more famous. I always was one to reach out when I'm facing something that is challenging or making me anxious. I definitely kind of stopped doing that, and instead I doom scrolled or looking for something to watch, looking for different ways to disassociate from the feelings I'm having, which I feel like anybody that, has anxiety, they can kind of, empathize with how he's feeling here. We all do it. He also says that when he's in public, his way of dealing with his anxiety that he has is by physical touch with someone, mainly somebody that he trusts in the scenario. And the first time the public really saw Pedro Pascal demonstrate this was at Comic-Con.
Fantastic, Pedro Pascal.
Now, obviously, he's embracing his co-star, Vanessa Kirby there, who is his wife in Fantastic Four. And there's various videos of them on stage at Comic-Con where he's basically looking at her to kind of, I guess, soothe his anxiety through physical touch. Like you see here, he's basically kind of like touching her a little bit, and then like they hold hands. They, basically, I wonder if that's his kind of ploy. Like, you might have talked to Vanessa beforehand, being like, look, if I touch you, do you mind if we just hold hands just because I'm feeling a bit anxious? This is what I imagine has went on prior to this. Hopefully, this is like my brain being like, he's asked for consent here. Now, a lot of mainly men were very angry at Pedro Pascal for, touching Vanessa Kirby, which they think, is unwarranted. He shouldn't be doing that. He hasn't got permission for that. That's their words, not mine. I'm just saying why there was outrage around this. And various TikTok creators made videos about this, kind of showing a different side to why Pedro might be doing this.
There's this video of Pedro Pascal. Actually, hold on. I'll show it. It looks like this. Very harmless, very sound, and I knew this was going to happen the moment that people clipped it from Comic-Con, and already people are primarily civilized and treat this as towards women as, takes notes, when people don't realize that grounding, that's what this is called in this situation, where you are starting to feel overwhelmed and starting to distance yourself from a current situation that you cannot distance yourself from because, he is quite literally a celebrity. He can't just hide into a shell. So what he does to stay in the moment and keep himself calm is he depends on one of his senses, that being, in this situation, touch.
And like this guy said here, he knows what Pedro Pascal has said in the press. He knows why he does this. Like, there's context to why he may be touching Vanessa Kirby like that. And a lot of men have been tweeting saying that he's trying to make like an advancement on her, you know, trying to like sexualize it in a way. And this is like odd in my mind, because I can kind of see it I can see why people think certain things, but it doesn't mean I agree with it. To me, if a guy is sexualizing this situation when it's not in any way, that is like how he would think that this would go down if he was in this situation. So he thinks if he touches a woman, it's because he wants to possibly get with her. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? From their minds, the people that are saying this. But if it was a woman, you know, who was tweeting saying, you know, I actually find this uncomfortable, it definitely probably goes off previous experience she's had when she's been touched, when she hasn't given permission for that. So I don't want to kind of invalidate anyone's opinions on this. I'm just trying to give an overall scope of why people feel the way they do about this. I find it interesting, at this moment of time, it was a certain kind of man that was angry at this. And this kind of makes me think, wait, so does that certain type of person mean the only time they're touching a woman is if they kind of want to riz her or something? Like, is that what we're trying to say here? Later in this video, we're actually going to talk about Vanessa Kirby's opinion on Pedro Pascal and the other videos that have circulated. But before we get into the rest of this video, I do want to say, like, I do recognize the privilege I have as a man, and if any woman is watching this and they have, you know, been through this when they haven't consented to it, I don't want to dismiss your feelings. Like, you know, your feelings are very valid here. I'm just recognizing the position I find myself in here, just so you know. Okay, I'm not trying to throw hate or anything. I'm just trying to provide the information and let you decide what you think about it. When I initially saw that Comic-Con video when it dropped, I did think it was a little bit odd, but that was because I didn't have the actual context into how Pedro Pascal struggles with, you know, his anxiety. And when I read up about that, and when I read that he, you know, he asks co-stars for permission if, you know, he can touch on stage, and if they say yes, then he does, I was like, okay, like, I can see where this is going. Now, this situation was kind of just bubbling at this point, but once the real Fantastic Four press tour started, it just got lit to flames. It was like they put a firework up someone's ass and they went to space with Katy Perry.
5 years ago, if I told you this was happening, would you have said, you're out of your gourd, I'm leading a Marvel movie? I mean, is this like a pleasant, bizarre surprise or what?
I would tell you were out of your gourd that I would get to be a part of an ensemble like this with actors that literally set the bar for me. And I'm sorry, I know you're English and that it's excruciating for me to
Do it, deliver it.
publicly make compliments like that, but I am with the best of the best and I pinch myself over it.
Receive it, just take it in.
Now, that just looks like an awkward interaction in general. I don't know why that was so awkward. Just taking away the previous video, that was just, it was just a strange interview, that one. I think just Pedro Pascal's nervous energy just kind of made that really awkward, and then he went in for the hug, and because he probably felt awkward, and it just kind of, you know, it just looks a little bit just weird. Not weird in like a nice way, just weird as in awkwardness. Now, obviously, they're holding hands again there.
I'm not letting you go.
You don't have to, no. You never have to, baby. You can let go.
No.
You're able to.
And again, like, videos like this were circulating on Twitter with such huge outrage. I do want to make note that Vanessa Kirby, you know, does have a husband. I'm not trying to say holding hands is shagging, right, basically. But I just want to make note of this for the videos that are coming later on. Again, just holding hands, nothing, you know, bad about this in my opinion. Both consented here to holding hands.
I've been busy.
I know, baby.
Answering questions about you.
You can't leave me alone that long.
I know.
That's a little too long, baby.
We need it.
Come on. Very codependent, very codependent. Just like I'm very codependent on film.
Again, you know, like the physical touch thing, you know, he had his hands round her waist. I don't really know if she, you know, was trying to take his hands off there. Again, it's such a nuanced topic because, you know, he has talked about his struggles with anxiety, so I don't want to mock the struggles with anxiety, but I'm also trying to come from the other angle. You know, does the other person feel comfortable here? And is the other person consenting? Because it's an important thing to, you know, talk about and mention. One thing I will say is it's not just Pedro Pascal that is touching Vanessa Kirby, you know, like quite a lot. Vanessa Kirby is also reciprocating the touching a bit. As we see in this clip.
I think that's my favorite image so far.
Just our hands.
Yeah. As long
That
as
was
you
our
don't
very
have to see,
first day
as long
as
as you
well.
don't have to see my face. Terrible confession to make in front of Gordon.
It's because we some of the best men in the world, so they don't count.
These two look like a couple to me. Do you know if, like, you just never told me, like, that these two have partners or whatever, and you said to these two are in a relationship, I wouldn't blink an eye. Like, the chemistry between these two and these three clips. Did you see the hand scratches on his neck there? Did you see it? Tell you what, if Chloe was doing that to, especially if Chloe was doing that to Pedro Pascal, I'd be like, oh, you having a good time there, are you? Itching your fingers, are you, Chloe? Oh, that's lush. That's great. Definitely don't hate my life. Just the fact it's Pedro Pascal, man. Imagine being Vanessa Kirby's husband. You'd be like, all right, love. Right, just make sure I get more scratches than him, okay? I'm being very insecure here when I'm not even the one in the situation. But even here, you know, when the second clip, when she kind of, like, goes in for a kiss and pulls out. Like, oh. Then she, like, quickly pulls away. It's like, whoa, do it. I like, love, you're in front of Pedro Pascal. I know, but I've got to stop. And as you see here, like, they look like they're really close friends. You know, like, the touching's reciprocated. And often on Twitter, these videos aren't really circulating as much as what the ones are where she maybe looks like she's not reciprocating it as much. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, she's completely comfortable. I'm not trying to speak on her behalf here. I'm just trying to talk about what I can see. Like there, she's the one leaning into him. Like, I'm not a body language expert, but she looks, you know, especially in this scenario, she looks comfortable. And this is what it's quite hard to decipher, because when you look in clips like this, it just looks like one friend comforting another friend, where the friend knows that the other friend, you know, obviously goes through anxiety. Like, from my own experience with anxiety, I know it can feel like, you know, like you walk outside and it feels like someone is, you know, everyone, your brains tell you everyone's looking at you, you feel like you're just like going like this, someone's like grabbing you, like the Hulk's giving you a hug. Worst feeling ever, okay? I mean, my thing to, you know, deal with it is not physical touch at all, so I can't say that that helps in any way. But I'm just trying to describe for anyone that doesn't go through them feelings what it possibly feels like. Alright, Ped. Ped, keep the hand above the bum. Ped. Otherwise we're gonna start calling you Pred. Alright, Pedro Pascal. That'll be your new name if that hand goes any lower. Okay, let's stick to Pedro. But even there, like, again, I'm not a body language expert, but his hand went pretty low there, and then she kind of, like, touched it, and then he basically put it up, and to me, that might be her saying, look, I'm not comfortable with you putting your hand there, and then he, you know, kind of put it up. Obviously, I'm just kind of, you know, that might not be the case, but I'm just saying what I see. Videos like this have been circulating the most, where people are basically, you know, outraged at the fact that Pedro Pascal is using his anxiety to touch Vanessa Kirby. That's their word, that's not my words, but that is what people are basically saying in this situation. And again, like, you know, Pedro Pascal has got his hands on her knee there, but then she moves closer to him. All of these things, like, does this, you know, I guess you can't really, you know, say 100% that she feels comfortable around him. This looks like a couple, like, with a newborn photo, like releasing their pregnancy photo.
How would you describe him?
Sexy.
Oh.
And everyone knows it. Hot. Genius. Loves the chalkboard.
Wait, is she describing Pedro Pascal there? Hot, genius, and sexy, whilst also giggling and kicking her feet. Husband! We're now calling you the ex-husband. Okay? Imagine your wife, sorry, being like, yeah, honestly, he is sexy, hot, he's a genius. Just kicking me feet right now. I'd be like, what? Make sure them feet are still, thank you very much. What about me? Am I not sexy and hot and a genius? Obviously not. I'm coming off so insecure on this video. How am I making this about me? That's a character flaw, Cam. Now, obviously, with people getting enraged about, you know, these videos circulating where they think Pedro Pascal is, you know, being inappropriate, they have brought up various instances that have happened prior to the Fantastic Four run. There's one very viral one with Willem Dafoe where I believe Pedro Pascal was, like, touching his wife's chin.
Right in the middle, guys.
Now, obviously, you can't, like, you know, say for definite what was going on there, but he touches Willem Dafoe's wife's chin, and Willem Dafoe goes, like, what are you doing? Get off. Now, I know I can't really speak for him, but I don't really feel like that was making him less anxious, you know, doing that with maybe it was. But, you know, it didn't look like Willem Dafoe was that comfortable in this situation. And one of the most common tweets that people have often been repeating is, why does Pedro Pascal never have anxiety around some of his other co-stars, such as Bella Ramsey? Obviously, they starred in The Last of Us together. But there is various videos of Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal, like, embracing. And also, Bella Ramsey kind of noting Pedro Pascal's anxiety and kind of trying to soothe it.
Oh. And then together straight ahead, you two. Look.
Like, as you see there, he clearly is embracing other people. Again, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not on anyone's side here. Like, I have no bias in this situation. I'm just trying to present, you know, the information to you. But let's read through some of the other tweets that people have been saying. I know this Pedro Pascal fella is a wrong'un. I just cannot prove it. Now, that is like one of the, whether you think Pedro Pascal is a wrong person or whatever, I often find that is the weirdest tweet or weirdest thing to say about someone. Taking Pedro Pascal out of this situation, because this tweet often gets labelled against huge celebrities, like, I know they're a bad person, I just don't have any evidence. Well, it's like, how do you know then? You're just going off a feeling. Like, surely you need evidence that someone's a bad person. Again, I'm not talking about Pedro Pascal here. I just often think it's weird that you would want somebody to be like a offender, so that then you want a victim in a situation just so you can prove this ideology you have about somebody. But again, like, I can understand if people have been through, you know, the things people are accusing Pedro Pascal of doing. Like, if you've been the victim in that situation, you obviously are going to have such strong feelings about this, and you're going to have a better perspective on it than a lot of people. So I do understand why some people who have been through this would be, you know, like, obviously triggered by what's going on right now. Me alone with anxiety, Pedro Pascal with anxiety. Okay, this one's actually kind of funny. I'm here for a notebook meme, right? Any memes about the notebook? Sign me up, right? I'll eat that shit all day.
Damn you, Roger. Roger.
Again, insinuating that Pedro Pascal is pretending to have anxiety so that he can touch women inappropriately. This is basically what this guy is insinuating. Whether you believe that's true, I'll let you be the judge of that. Like, what the fuck? Now, when I was reading through some of these tweets, I did try and just kind of find instances that would, you know, kind of offer a different viewpoint and maybe some of the things that people are saying, just to get like a better perspective on the whole situation. And there is various videos and various photos of Pedro Pascal acting the same way with his male co-workers as well. We've got one here. We've also got one here where he's basically kissing someone, and there's loads of videos where he's basically embracing his co-stars. Now, obviously, a lot of people have been criticising Pedro Pascal. I've mentioned that a lot in this video, but there is also a lot of people defending him as well. Pedro Pascal makes women uncomfortable. Women with Pedro Pascal bloody fighting over him. Bloody fighting over him.
Can't believe Pedro Pascal's still getting away with this I must touch a woman when I feel social anxiety thing. It's one of the great ruses of this generation. Getting away with it for years. For years. The cure to his social anxiety is to hold hands with an attractive woman. Can I get a prescription from his psychologist?
The fact he's like decided to, you know, zone in on just the holding hands thing, that basically in his mind is him saying to everyone else, I think if I hold hands with a woman who's not my wife, it's a sexual thing, which automatically, like, no woman is ever going to hold hands with him in public, ever. Not that they would in the first place, but they're going to be like, he's getting a bloody boner at this. That's how I'm seeing that viewpoint on the holding hands specifically. Like, the touching the bum and everything is a total different scenario. But when he's zoning in on just holding the hands, I don't think holding the hands is that bad. Personally, that's one of my opinions on this. However, like, when he was touching her butt and she, like, touched him, I do find that a little bit odd.
Not everyone stopped making this content after Pedro Pascal's anxiety was spoon-fed to people after Comic-Con. Funniest thing about this post is, I don't even think this has anything to do with anxiety. This is called taking a picture, doing press for a movie. See a post like this, the overwhelming stench is always insecurity. It's saying, well, if that was my wife, who I would view as my property, I would not allow this to happen. The thing is, Jack, what this is called right here is adult friendship. These are two people that trust. For anyone who knew anything about Pedro Pascal, this was nothing new. A man who has consistently put his own hand over his own stomach to calm his own anxiety when he's not next to someone he's incredibly close with. I was talked publicly a ton about panic attacks, anxiety, etc. Oh, it's truly sick about this. We just got done something that got mocked a lot by men and women alike, that is Men's Mental Health Month. We live in a country where there is a genuine mental health crisis for men. This statistic is far worse than it is around the world.
That is arguably one of the, the good things to come out of this scenario, one of the only good things to come out of this situation, is the topic of anxiety is getting a lot of, awareness. Not that it needs it, it does need it, but I feel like everyone should know right now what anxiety is, but it's good that people are talking about it and the different methods that, people use to kind of, ease theirs. Because it's like a silent killer of people, not just men, of women as well. Like, anxiety is one of the things that, crushes people, and it's so silent, and it's so hard to deal with because you can't see it, and you can't see it in someone else unless, like, you know them. Like, if you meet someone for the first time, you're not necessarily going to know that they, really, really struggle with something like that. So it is good that it's spreading awareness about this, this horrible, horrible thing. Now, you might be wondering, what is Vanessa Kirby's response in all of this? Because at the end of the day, the one person, like, everyone else is speaking for Vanessa Kirby here, basically. Like, no one's actually listening if she's uncomfortable with it. Like, she is the person that is getting touched. Now, I'm going to read a few extracts from interviews that she's done talking about this. Vanessa Kirby has also said of their bond and the reaction to how close they are physically. What happened is we were both incredibly nervous going out in front of thousands of people who love this comic. He wanted me to know that we were in this together, and I found it a lovely gesture and was very glad to squeeze his hand back. So, like, on the holding hands debacle, she's like, yeah, I consented to this. Like, every time he holds my hand, I'm consenting to him holding my hand. He's prior to him holding my hand, he has checked with me that it's okay and I'm comfortable with it. And I've read, like, article after article after article to just kind of get a gauge on just everyone's perspective on this, just to, like, understand the backlash and understand whenever people are angry, I never want to be like, they're wrong, like, they're just totally wrong on this situation. I always try to understand, like, why are they coming from this angle and whether I agree with the reason for their anger rather than just dismissing it. I just feel like that's the best way to go about things, like, understand why people feel a certain way and then you can form your opinion on it. There is one extract from the Cosmopolitan that said this: is it worth pointing out that when Pedro was talking to Men's Health, he was clearly using the phrase reach out to mean that he contacts his loved ones, or that there is nothing inherently wrong with seeking physical comfort from consenting adults? Yes, but logic is clearly not at the forefront here. It's worth noting that there has been no public allegations or proof of any unwanted physical affection at all. To my knowledge, Pedro has never been accused of being inappropriate physically or otherwise with anyone on set or off. Now, that is also an important thing to note, is, like, this is the internet talking about these accusations here. It's not actually came from anybody who has had any interaction with Pedro Pascal. Now, if Vanessa Kirby, wanted to come forward in, like, 5 years, 10 years, a year, whenever she felt comfortable and said, actually, I wasn't comfortable there, then she is well within her rights to do that. But as of now, she, there's nobody has ever came forward about Pedro Pascal. Here's some other things that Vanessa Kirby has said about the whole holding hands gesture and, the touching in general. Kirby has praised Pascal's emotional openness and protective nature. She described their public interactions, like holding hands, as supportive gestures derived from shared anxiety doing press tours. She said of their friendship, we are actually a family. Pascal has echoed similar sentiments, expressing deep affection and partnership in both work and life. Now, I also wanted to do more research in Pedro Pascal and his previous co-workers, mainly women, because that's kind of what a lot of the backlash is coming from, basically saying Pedro Pascal is inappropriate with women, these people are saying. So I was just intrigued to see, actually, has anybody ever said they were inappropriate with him? And here's a few things that his former co-stars have said. So Sarah Paulson, who you might know from, being a huge star in American Horror Story, she's a close friend of Pedro Pascal, and her opinion of him is this: there was one time Pedro Pascal was going through a difficult time and she actually gave him money so that he could afford food. She has described him as a friend before anything else, emotionally intertwined in her journey as an artist. Gina Carano, who was a co-star on The Mandalorian, said, despite political differences, Carano emphasized, I adore Pedro. You're a human being and you're my friend first. She praised his sweetness and the mature way they maintained friendship and mutual respect, even after differing views. Bella Ramsey, obviously, was Ellie in The Last of Us, and Joel being Pedro Pascal. Ramsey has spoken of a genuine supportive friendship with Pedro, calling their bond like family, where she says he helped her learn to be kinder to herself, which is, like, that's one of the nicest things I've ever heard, to be fair. He brought the best out of me as a person. Pascal in turn described Ramsey as generous, thoughtful, and anchoring during filming. Now, the reason that I wanted to read those out was just to give, you know, more of a character profile here, because I'm not trying to dismiss, again, I've said this like 40 times, I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's feelings on this, but I do think it's important to give context to everything that's going on here, just so you can actually make your own decision up about this, and not kind of, you know, you only hear that he's really good, or you only hear that he's really bad. I'm trying to give you a lot more information so you can actually have an informed view on who Pedro Pascal is, basically. One thing that I do feel like a lot of people are angry at with Pedro Pascal at the minute, taking away all of, you know, this situation, is it's something called Pedro Pascal fatigue, which a lot of people are talking about. And basically, it happens a lot with celebrities and, you know, music artists, or just people in general that are, you know, as they do better within their niche and they're seen by more people, they get to a point where people are kind of like, it's like a switch where people are like just sick of them. It's like, oh right, okay, like we're seeing this person everywhere, oh this person's doing really well, okay, like we don't like them anymore, like it's no longer cool to like someone once they're popular. I didn't realize this was a thing like within the entire world. It's such a huge thing in the UK. Once somebody gets like too big for where people like don't feel comfortable with how big they are anymore, that's when they kind of turn on them. And I'm not like, you know, I'm trying to differentiate every single thing that we've talked about in this Pedro Pascal video to Pedro Pascal fatigue, because I feel like that's a total different thing and it's going on in the background despite all of this recent controversy. I think some people on that side, within the fatigue side, just want to see the fall of somebody that is very huge. Again, I'm not that's totally different to what we've been talking about here, but just the people that want to see Pedro Pascal fall for the sake of wanting Pedro Pascal to fall without actually getting the relevant, you know, context to various situations that are going on, whether that makes it right or not. They don't even want the context, and I do find that side of things alarming, where people kind of want to see somebody fall just for the sake of seeing somebody fall. So I just wanted to make that as a separate point that is detached from the rest of this video. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this situation and the fact it's blew up so huge. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know your thoughts on Pedro Pascal as a person. I hope you have enjoyed my coverage on this. I've tried to be as respectful as possible to every single opinion people could have. I don't want to dismiss anyone. You know, that's not my style. I don't want to, you know, call anyone names or anything. So I hope you do appreciate that. And yeah, I'm just trying to give my unbiased coverage of this donut, and thank you very much for dedicating the time to watch us. As always, I really do appreciate it, and I hope you appreciate all the videos I'm pumping out for you, keeping you entertained during this summer. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you very much, donuts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Kirkham, baby.